Let's take a look at the scope of variables. Scoping, or the life, or how long a variable is visible, it's very important. You need to be confident of knowing when a variable is in and out of scope. Within JavaScript, functions are how scope is contained. Otherwise, everything is a global variable. So let's go ahead and define a variable here, student. We will assign to it the name of Peter. Then we'll create a function. Let's just call it my function. And we will assign to it a function. Inside of the function, we will again define student. In this case, we'll give it the name of Bruce. We'll then assign friend. And we'll give it the name of Robin. Then we will write to the console the value of the variable student. Let's go ahead and finish our expression. And I think I've made a mistake somewhere. Let me take a look. Oh yes, I've left out the C in function. And now let's go ahead and call my function. And let's check the values then of student and friend. We'll first do student, and then we will do friend. Now let's review before we run that example. What we have here, we have first created a variable where we assign to student Peter. We then have a function that when it executes creates the variable student, then assigns Robin to friend, then writes to the console student. We then invoke that function, and we're then looking at what the values of student and friend are. Let's go ahead and load that page into the browser. Let's go ahead and look at the console. And we can see here that we get Bruce within the function. So that means that when my function is called and this function executes, the value of student at that point is student. Then once we come out to the outside and we write to the console the value of student, then we have Peter, because that's the global variable of student, and the student inside of the function and the student outside of the function are independent of each other. So that's why we first get Bruce and then we get Peter. Then finally, we actually can access the value of friend, even though that is within the function, because we did not give it the var keyword. If I add that and I reload the page, then it says that friend is not defined, because it is now contained within the function. This functionality, scope, it's very important to get right, because otherwise you are leaking, as it was the case before, you're leaking variables into the global scope. So this is leaking. If we reload the page, we can see now that Robin has leaked from the function into the global scope. This is something you do not want. You want to have contained pieces of code that you know how they work and do not affect the code around them. So with that, let me go ahead and close and ask you to practice this and make sure you have this down right cold.